Hey guys, and welcome to my channel where we do talk all things true crime. If this is your first time here, I hope you appreciate today's case coverage and you'll consider subscribing to the channel. If you're a returning Titan, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me for yet another upload. We are discussing the Idaho 4 case today, and in particularly, we're going to be going over the third installment of a series that's been going on, and it's called In the Eyes of a Killer, and this is part 3 of that series. So if you haven't heard of this series yet, you can go and check out part 1, part 2. I do have them. I believe they should be under the Idaho 4 playlist. The first video to come out was roughly 26-minute read. The second video that came out was about a 29-minute read. This video, or this new part 3 that's come out, is now going to be just a 9-minute read. So it's not that long, but I wanted to share it with you guys because I've been sharing all the parts with you. I went ahead and subscribed to Airmail so I can go ahead and get these, different documents kind of for you guys. So if you do go to locate the site, it is airmail.com. They will make you sign up though, and I think it is $79 a month after the first week or so, maybe 4 days. So this is part 3 of that series, and it is airmail.com. And I'm going to go ahead and read this for you all here, and I'm going to try to blow it up a little bit more for you guys. I didn't notice that it was a little small. So let me see if I can perhaps make it a little bigger. Well, I guess life's funny like that. Sometimes it lets you, sometimes it doesn't let you. So that may be as big as I can get it, but I'll read it to you guys as well. We'll try one more time. Okay. So it says, The Eyes of a Killer, Part 3. The investigation into the murders of 4 University of Idaho students was crowdsourced for better and worse. This is by Howard Bloom, and it came out February 11th, 2023. Everybody's looking for love, right? Love is all you need. At least that's what they keep telling you. So why should you be any different? You have needs too. So you just sit in your room and scroll through Facebook or Insta or talk, and there they are. It might as well be Tinder, all of them looking so pretty. And here's the best part. They don't have any idea you're staring at them, following their every post, checking out every move they make, every tasty smile they flash. It's your reassuring secret. Because if they don't know, they can't turn you down. No one smirking, telling you to get real. Dude, there's no one telling you to get lost. So you just keep looking and looking and looking. And you keep thinking, I want it, I want it, I want it. Only you know what they're thinking. You can't have it. Want to bet? And then here goes into the article. Yes, it might very well have begun like that. Defiance born out of desperation. Still, of course, it is an impossibility to glimpse into Brian Kohlberger's chaotic internal world. His thoughts, dreams remain unseen, unshared, and no less a governor on speculation. He is now, at most and at worst, only the accused. The culpability for the brutal murders of 4 University of Idaho students remains to be established beyond reasonable doubt in the rigorous precinct of a courtroom. And I will let you know, this guy likes to throw in all these huge words. It's not big words, but there's just so many of them. So I'm sorry if I do get a little tongue-tied here and there. But nevertheless, in a perplexing case that has stirred a national whirlwind of conjecture, there still are touchstones that beg for scrutiny. The search for truth, it may very well be argued, is the search for better hypotheses. And one place to start, tantalizing clues perhaps, is an inquiry into the role of social media played, for it seemingly ignited the combustible sparks, if not supplied the raw hot fuel. In so many intertwined aspects of this grim saga, from the fashionable plotting of the murders to the dodged hunt for a killer to the nasty overwrought diatribes pointing accusatory fingers at innocents to the insolent snarling attacks on those who dare to dip into the murky trough that contains the submerged secrets floating below the surface of this horrific crime. All coincide in a single intriguing premise. We are living through one of the most one of the first major crime stories of the social media age, and the internet, for better and worse, has changed the narrative entirely. And it says a warning label. At precisely 8:57 p.m. on the last full day of her life, in the midst of a busy Saturday bustling with a flurry of convivial activities generated by a football game in a college town, Kaylee Gonzalez paused before going out for a night at the corner club with her best friend Maddie Mogan. She posted a series of photos on her Instagram account, which she captioned, "One lucky girl to be surrounded by these people every day." The photos are a cheery collection of 6 college students, the youngest 19, the oldest 21, bursting with bright-eyed good looks and future promise. They were meant to be. It appears visual testimony to the fun the students were having, to the blessings a magnificent life and generously bestowed on them. In the frozen moments, it seems incredible, no impossible, that within hours 4 of them will be dead. How could destiny be so unforgiving? How could it even summon up the malicious power to overwhelm such simple joy? Yet, of course, fate had, as always, the last cruel laugh. And I'll show you the picture there while I'm reading this part here. It is now forever part of the dismissal history of our time that Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Gonzalez, in the gray, half-lit before the dawn of the following day, were ruthlessly murdered by a knife-wielding assailant. And it is a tragedy that has bestowed an anticipated significance on one of the most frequently produced photos from Kaylee's last day trove. In retrospect, one can almost hear a muffled drumbeat of the cataclysm that is surging relentlessly forward. And there's the picture there. At the time, though, it may have seemed nothing special. One more glimpse into the exuberant, self-contained universe of a group of happy-go-lucky college kids. Another post in an ongoing series that documented this merry band of brother and sisters. In this photo, there are 6 of them posing on a narrow porch in a bright autumnal light. Yet the arrangement, however haphazard, has the intimidations of a deliberate iconography. I love his wording. It might as well be a foretelling of what is to come, for at each end of the row, as if bookends to the main drama, are 2 young women who will be the sole survivors of the carnage that is inexorably approaching. While at center stage, directly in the camera's eye, are the 4 victims, and here too, they seemingly predictive power over the images is unnerving. I didn't even think of it that way. Maddie is balanced on Kaylee's shoulders, blonde on blonde, united and independent on each other. They will die together in the same bed. Standing next to them, a head taller, is a tousled-haired Ethan, his left arm crooked possessively and protectively around Xana, both of their dark outfits outliners to the faded denims all the others are wearing, and they too will be dead within hours. At the time, the photograph was a celebration, and Kaylee posted it to Instagram for all of the world to see. It was nothing unusual, a benign and even arguably banal gesture. Or was it? We are living through one of the most major crime stories of the social media age. Instagram is by its very nature public. It's a shout out to the world. Only one of vehement warnings to be gleaned from the Idaho murders might very well be that it would be prudent to remember that the open society has its enemies. A joyful instance of self-affirmation can reverberate in some forlorn minds as a taunt. An impossible dream that in a stranger's isolation, in his entropy, can forever be beyond his grasp. In envious hearts, a raging roiler anger can take hold and take command. Each new proud image on Instagram or TikTok becomes another deception or of forbidden fruit. And it has been decreed that this bounty will always be dangling maddeningly out of reach. A deranged mind may decide to axe down the tree. Is this what happened? Was in fact a killer in the making, tracking his victims on social media? Did each new shared image cut another notch deep into his mounting rage? In a premise unproven, conjectural, yet one that cries out for investigation, 4 deaths is a high price for society and an impossible one for the grieving families to pay. For if indeed social media played a motivating part in a killer's furious, vindictive journey, a warning label of sorts needs to be posted on the portals of these sites. Take heed, all who enter here. A universe of nascent suspicions. Still, there is no denying social media's efficiency too. As the weeks passed without an arrest, law enforcement authorities, in their state of frustration and desperation, called out for help. Detectives are looking for context to the events and people involved in these murders. Read the beaching announcement posted online by Moscow, Idaho Police Department. Whether you believe it's significant or not, it read, you might possess the piece of the puzzle that will help investigators solve these murders. And so the puzzle pieces started pouring in. Nearly 20,000 clues, a feverish collection of calls, emails, and videos were received by the Idaho cops. And at least one of these tips helped change everything. For a graveyard shift attendant at a gas station near the King Road murder house took the police appeal to heart. And after a couple of long nights of carefully focused hunting, she discovered a surveillance video that helped clarify and confirm the authorities' mounting interest in a white Hyundai Elantra that had been spotted in an off-campus neighborhood in the early morning hours. It was a piece of tangible evidence that became one more footprint on the trail that would soon lead to Brian Kohlberger. It was a concerned citizen's triumph, yet it was also something more. It offered an insight into the roots of nearly universal fascination with this case. Consider, as the investigation dragged on and on, seemingly without a clue, the seeds were planted, encouraged even, by the authorities for outsiders to play a role, and thousands of would-be detectives had a field day. After all, more than at any other time in history, it was easy to be a sleuth. One didn't in fact need to go any further than his or her electronic device of choice. A few clicks on your phone or laptop and a vast world of potential clues would be revealed, a universe of nascent suspicions that conceivably would have overwhelmed even the most diligent speculations of a Sherlock Holmes. A Los Angeles Times reporter once asked Anthony Zucker, the creator of CSI franchise and one of its executive producers, to explain the show's colossal success. One of the worst days of your life, Zucker responded. The CSI investigators would come in, solve the crime, and bring peace and mind to the survivors and or the victims, and put the bad guy away. Now, internet sleuths could revitalize their own lives, not by stepping into a make-believe world, but by solving a very horrific crime. Social media gave them the potential, or so they wanted to believe, to find the incriminating nail that could pound into the bad guy's coffin. At last they could, as one poet urged, unite avocation and vocation. Yet it was communal exercise that led to Jacobin access to. If in open society, anyone could play detective and post solutions on the internet. This lack of rules and boundaries also meant that anyone could be publicly vilified. Overzealous amateurs posted mystifying nonsense that demeaned ex-boyfriends of the victims, exploited casual encounters, and knowingly dished up toxic and audacious facts, in parentheses. Worse, and this is inescapable danger in the open marketplace. That is social media. Malicious were readily accepted as gospel by a chorus of admiring fools. This too is part of the sad history that has enveloped the Idaho murder saga. A stern decree. Only now the court, in its lofty wisdom, has decided to intervene. Having had her fill of the extraordinary attention the entire affair has generated, Latah County Judge Megan Marshall, the Flinty, Idaho magistrate assigned to the case, has ruled that as far as the public is concerned, less is more than enough. On January 3rd, in the aftermath of Brian Kohlberg's arrest on 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary, she issued a gag order restricting comments from prosecutors, the defense, law enforcement, and other officials. Then, still not satisfied that she successfully dampened down the conversation sufficiently to ensure a fair trial, 2 weeks later, she made her stern decree even sterner. She expanded the scope of her already broad order so that now the survivors and their attorneys, as well as the victims' families and their attorneys, were also restricted from talking to the media. The press didn't take to this lying down. 22 news organizations, from the Associated Press and the New York Times to the local Idaho Statesman, which has tendency and provocatively unearthed scoops in story after story on the case, band together to ask for a repeal. This order is unnecessarily sweeping and broad and severely impedes the public's understanding of a significant criminal investigation that profoundly impacted the community. Representative Josh Hoffner, National News Director for the Associated Press. And the news organization's complaints were echoed by an unlikely supporter, Shannon Gray, the hard-charging local Moscow attorney representing the Gazavas family, has filed an appeal. The victim's surviving family members, he contended, are free to speak to the public and the media under the First Amendment of the Constitution. Simply put, their rights to the freedom of speech cannot be restricted through judicial prior restraint. The court will in due course decide, but in the meantime, these high-minded constitutional arguments skirt a more problematic one. Any attempt to get to the truth, to rephrase the Washington Post earnest admonition, dies in darkness. If no one who is legitimate authority on the case can speak out, it will neither put an end to the public's intense interest in the events nor terminate the discussion. Instead, the area will shift from the rigorous precincts of journalism to the Wild West of the internet. Once again, the demons sulking on social media will be unleashed, and truth will be the first and second casualty. A vacuum demands to be filled, and a more solomatic judge would have realized that it's not the accredited news organizations who have wantonly cut the baby in half in order to post a story. Gag order or not, through my mind will not rest. I will keep returning to thoughts about the 4 murders in Idaho. It is a preoccupation that after pensive time reinforces my nascent theories about the unique and extensive connection social media has so many facets of this case. It is a catalyst. I believe that helped to bring the crime to vivid life in a killer's unsatisfied mind. And now that a gag order has submerged on understanding of events beneath fathoms of speculation, the worst actors on the internet will dive in where a misguided judge has made sure no careful reporter will go. Caution and restraint are rare qualities in this too often malevolent environment. Yet faced with all these reportable obstacles, I search on nevertheless for cornerstones of unimpeachable evidence, and so I find myself returning to the photo of Kaylee posted of her friends on the last day of her too brief life. In one way, the image provides a sort of solace, like the figures that a young John Keats viewed. Forever they too will love and be fair, and they too will stay forever young. And their killer will be a prisoner locked in his own eternal hell, his desires spent, but without content, doomed to be, as Keats imagined, forever painting. So that's the end of the article there. Wanted to get that to you guys. Let me know what you guys think of this article. This is the last of the series. This is the last one of the series anyway. I'm sure there's going to be more that's going to be coming out. But just, let me know your thoughts, comments below, what you guys think of this article. And I will see you guys all on the next video. Thank you guys so much. Bye, guys.